What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. Now, news has broke today. Some news came out of the Leafs camp this morning, out of Leafs PR. Auston Matthews has tested positive for COVID-19. 3 Senators players were put into protocol this morning, and then it was shortly after that was announced that Auston Matthews tested positive on a rapid test. He's currently awaiting the results on a PCR, which will likely get back to us Tuesday, January 4th, his final official results. But as it seems, and especially giving the timing of these Sens players being put into protocol, it is more than likely that he will test positive, confirmed on that PCR, and that this isn't a false positive. Another Leafs assistant coach was also entered into protocol. So, I mean, precautionary reasons it was listed for this morning, and then with the rapid test coming back positive, it's looking more and more likely that Auston Matthews is going to test positive on this PCR. With the new rules in Ontario and across Canada, and that it was released with the asymptomatic people who are double vaccinated, if you test positive, you only need to enter a 5-day quarantine. It would appear that Auston Matthews will only have to miss one game, and that is the game Wednesday against the Edmonton Oilers, which in the grand scheme of things is a good one just to have to miss. You only miss one game for this guy. It does suck, though, when you look at the minor scale of it, and you're looking at against Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl coming to town, getting the big boys matching up against each other. That's unfortunate. You don't get to see that matchup. This guy is chasing Leon Draisaitl for the goal-scoring lead. He is the Leafs' leading scorer, leading point getter at this point. So it sucks that he's going to have to miss games, maybe fall back in that race for the Rocket Richard. But overall, only having to miss one game is a good thing. Goody, how did you react to this news, seeing this come out of here? I mean, at this point, it's not even anything we're overly concerned about. He is asymptomatic, but just the general feel of it all, it just doesn't seem surprising that this continues to happen.
No, it sucks for Austin, but it's refreshing for fans to have unfortunate news come in like this, where, I mean, Matthews' health will be okay. He's double vaxxed, all that stuff. He's young, athletic. He'll be fine with COVID, no doubt. It's more just, it's refreshing to know that he can go out mid-season with this and only end up missing one game. It's a 5-day quarantine now. We're starting to adjust to a more integrated and regular lifestyle with COVID out there. It's refreshing because COVID took out the whole sports industry for so long. To think that 2 years ago from right now, you could have heard Auston Matthews catches COVID and only really misses one game, comes back in 5 days, you'd be blown away. So it's good to, I mean, you might be blown away that COVID's still happening anyways, but that's a whole new subject. Definitely nice to hear that Auston Matthews won't miss much time, but it is really disappointing that it'll be versus Edmonton that we won't get to see him play. Like the Draisaitl matchup and having McDavid there too, it's going to be it's always a crazy game when we face Edmonton. So high scoring typically. Bummer that he won't be there, but I'm still excited for the game, and I hope Austin gets recovered as quick as he can.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify too, if anyone looks at the schedule at this point, and I'm saying that he's going to be missing one game. Tonight's game against the Canes, if you were watching the live stream or you watched it after the fact, I did say I wasn't sure what was going to happen. It was previously listed as postponed, and I didn't know if that was something that was listed and then was changed. But it is postponed. Tonight's game against the Canes will not be happening. That is the Monday, January 4th game will not be happening. It will be moved to a later date, have to be played then. And then the other one that is currently listed as postponed, and I'm just going to assume right now, and maybe that's a bad idea, but as of right now, it was the same situation with this Canes game. The game against the Habs for Thursday night is also listed as postponed, and I foresee that game being postponed and moved to a later date. So that would just move things to Matthews only missing the game Wednesday against the Oilers. Now, depending on how this thing plays out and where the discrepancy with the rules comes into play, the Leafs do play against the Avalanche on Saturday, and now I do not know if that would mean that that would be day 5 and he's still in it on day 5 and he has to miss that if the PCR results come back tomorrow, or if today counts, or I don't know specifically what the rules are on that. So I'm going to also again assume that he's going to be playing in the Saturday night game, which would lead to him only missing one game. We will see as more information comes out whether he will be in that game or not. But I did see that some of the lines were going to have to shuffle around, and we'll get to see Nick Ritchie back into the lineup. So it could have some bigger implications on this team and guys getting to try out for spots, as we mentioned in the Saturday's live stream against the Sens. But I mean, ultimately with the Sens players being put into protocol this morning, it was not surprising that Leafs players were going to go into shortly after. But one thing that I did kind of say to you before we started recording is, and not to make light of the entire situation, but it's almost nice that these Leafs players and the majority of this team and the more star players in particular have gotten COVID now, and it is almost, air quotes, out of the way moving forward. So they've gotten it now. The bigger chunk of it is, okay, they've gotten it, most of the team, and now you're looking at a situation where in the stretch of things, in the important run, and then getting into playoffs, it is less likely that these players will test positive again and have to miss important games, important times of the season.
That's just the science, Philly. They say 90 days after you test positive, you should have a pretty good buffer that if the virus enters your body in any way, you probably won't have any experience with it or become contagious. So yeah, your antibodies are at a really high level for the 90 days after that positive test. So it's good to see all of our guys get it. Unfortunately, there will be a period of time before playoffs where we will probably be susceptible again.
Yeah.
You got to hope that everyone keeps up good practices and, the league does their own job to keep the players safe. And then that'll lead to no issues whatsoever. But in terms of the crucial stretch leading up to the playoffs, I am relieved to see virtually everybody on the Leafs have antibodies now, and I don't really need to worry about waking up to random notifications on my phone about games being canceled or star players sitting out. It's been tough, and we have a fun stretch of games coming up ahead, Phil. I know we'll have most guys back because they just dealt with COVID, which we're thankful for in some way. But Auston Matthews not being there is a bit of a bummer. Same with Nick Ritchie. We'll figure out the situation with those guys. But virtually everybody else, it is nice that we'll have them for this fun stretch of games, and hopefully we can play as many as possible.
Well, and the one thing that it does open the possibility for, as we kind of alluded to there, is just guys like Nick Ritchie, who were healthy scratched on Saturday night, will get to go into this lineup and compete for a spot again. He's obviously not going to take Auston Matthews' spot. When Matthews is off this list, he's going to immediately jump back in. But a guy like Nick Ritchie could prove that, hey, he should be in this lineup when a spot like that opens or an opportunity like this opens. And it's going to be something we're going to continue to see. Even if it's not with the Leafs, we're going to see around the league moving forward where guys get an opportunity to prove themselves, and sometimes that's all it takes. It's just one game, you get in there, you show what you've got, and you prove that you deserve a spot moving forward. So we'll see what happens come Wednesday night against the Oilers.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, with Nick Ritchie sitting out, being healthy scratched, it looked like a great decision because we went out and won 6-0 with a dominant victory. You threw out the A+, Phil.
Yeah.
So that's a statement right there about how the Leafs played, and Nick Ritchie watched from the press box. So if it wasn't for all these COVID-related vacancies, or at this point not as many, but at least a couple, and one of them being Auston Matthews, he probably will get back in. So that's a nice little benefit of the doubt opportunity for him to show face again and just integrate right back into the winning efforts, because 6-0 with him watching from the press box, that might have bothered him a little bit. He's going to have a chance immediately, though, right now.
Yeah, well, as it stands, the immediate news was that 3 Senators players were put into protocol this morning, and following shortly after was that Auston Matthews tested positive on a rapid test. He's awaiting the results on a PCR, which will come back tomorrow, Tuesday, January 4th. He will get those results back, and we will know for sure what is happening. He is currently asymptomatic, which is also a good thing. That would mean he only needs to quarantine for 5 days here. He will miss the next game against the Edmonton Oilers on Wednesday, January the 5th. And as it stands right now, the game against the Montreal Canadiens for Thursday, January 6th is postponed. So that would be the next game after that he would get to play in would be Saturday against the Colorado Avalanche when they come to town. So hopefully things are all good. He gets cleared to play in that game, and that is the only game he misses is Wednesday against the Oilers. We'll continue to update as more news breaks from Toronto Maple Leafs camp. More news comes out about the team, about lineup changes, who gets in, who goes out, what the lines are. We'll break that all down here on this channel. So if you like what we're talking about, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leafs fans, we will see you guys soon. We appreciate your support. Appreciate you guys watching these videos. Keep believing.
Signing off.